Nothing was too good for little Miss Splendid. She lived in a huge house, surrounded by large gardens. She bathed in a gold bath, and she dined off silver plates. Oh, she was splendid. At least, she thought so.
"Soup, my lady?"
asked the butler.
"Ooh, just caviar today, Hargreaves."
"Very good, my lady."
Little Miss Splendid thought a lot of herself. In fact, she thought about nothing else. "Good morning, ma'am," said the head gardener.
"Good morning,
"Cardwell, ma'am." "Good morning, ma'am," said the under gardener.
Good morning,
"Cully, ma'am."
Gully."
"Good morning, ma'am. Will you need your car today?" said the chauffeur.
"Not today, Williams."
That day, while taking a stroll around her gardens, little Miss Splendid came upon a small door in one of the walls. She'd never noticed it before.
"No, I wonder what's through here.
She found herself on a road. Along came Mr. Small, out for a short walk. "Good morning." Little Miss Splendid stuck her nose in the air even higher and walked past him as if he wasn't there.
What a common little man."
She came to a bus stop. Mr. Happy and Mr. Daydream were waiting for a bus into town. "Hello, who are you?"
"I am Splendid."
"Oh, I'm Happy. Happy to meet you. This is my friend, Mr. Daydream. Are you going to catch the bus?"
"Me? The bus? Never. I have never, ever in the whole of my life travelled on a bus. You have to sit next to people on buses, and that would never do."
Oh. Mr. Happy couldn't think of anything to say. Miss Splendid walked off with her nose very high in the air.
"Splendid, splendid, amazing, quite superb. I know you cannot find the words. There's never been a little dislike."
Miss Splendid arrived in town. She looked at herself in all the shop windows as she walked down the street.
"Splendid, splendid. I must say I do look absolutely splendid."
And then something caught her eye. There, in the middle of the window of the hat shop, was a hat. Not just a hat, but a hat and a half. The most magnificent,
Sumptuous,
desirable,
gorgeous,
spectacular,
amazing,
splendid hat you've ever seen. Little Miss Splendid marched into the shop.
Shop! Shop!
She snapped her fingers, and a saleslady hurried to her side.
Good morning, madame. Can I help you?
I wish to try on the hat in the window.
This one, madame?
Yes. Oh, magnificent. I'll take it. Don't bother to wrap it. I'll wear it.
But don't you want to know how much it costs?
Put it on my account.
Thank you, madame. Goodbye.
Little Miss Splendid stood on the pavement and held up her hand.
Taxi! Taxi! Take me home.
Little Miss Splendid went to get in the taxi, but of course she couldn't. Her new hat was much too large to fit through the taxi door.
Driver, you should purchase yourself a larger taxi. In the meantime, I shall have to walk.
"All right, please yourself, duck. Cheerio."
Perhaps it's better to walk so that everyone has the chance to admire my magnificent new hat.
But then it happened. It started to rain. And the trouble was, the more it started to rain, the more it rained. And the trouble was, the more it rained, the more Miss Splendid got wet. And the trouble was, the wetter she got, the wetter her hat got. What a sorry sight. Don't you agree?
Pitter-patter down it came, pitter-patter pouring rain, pitter-patter bumpety splash, what a very sorry sight inside the very wet hat.
The bus, on its return journey from town, passed her. And Mr. Happy and Mr. Daydream, on their way home, looked out of the window. Oh, I say, what a splendid sight! Splendid! Chuckled Mr. Daydream. Miss Splendid, looking anything but splendid, arrived home. However, after a hot bath in her gold bath and after a boiled egg in her gold egg cup, eaten with a silver spoon, she felt much better. In fact, later on, she spent an extremely pleasant evening looking at... Well, now, what do you think she spent all evening looking at? No, not a magazine.
Splendid.
No, not television.
Splendid.
Not a book.
Splendid.
Herself. In the mirror.
Oh, I do look splendid. Splendid.
Sometimes in sunshine, sometimes in style, sometimes with no time or just with a smile. Up to her eyes in surprises and tricks, no disguising, she's a little handful of trouble, a bundle of fun. Glad you could make it, so glad you could come. Little Miss, we're waiting for you. Ready, steady, how do you do?
Little Miss Neat lived in Two-Pin Cottage. It was called Two-Pin Cottage because she kept it as neat as two pins. Little Miss Neat was a very tidy person. Probably the tidiest person in the world. She couldn't stand a mess.
Oh, I do like to see things neat and tidy, spick and span, if you know what I mean.
Every day, she spent all day polishing and dusting and cleaning and making sure that things were in their proper places.
I do like to see things in their proper places.
One morning, little Miss Neat awoke in a bedroom in Two-Pin Cottage and looked out of a bedroom window. It had been raining during the night, and there was a puddle in the middle of the garden path. She gasped in horror
Oh, that is nasty.
and rushed outside with a duster.
Oh, dear me, we can't have that. Water all over my nice clean path.
She mopped up every drop of puddle, and then she rushed inside and washed the duster. And then she ironed the duster, and then she folded the duster, and then she placed the duster very neatly back in its drawer. Everything in Two-Pin Cottage had its proper place.
Oh, I do like to see things in their proper places.
Now, this story is about the time little Miss Neat went on holiday. She always went away for 1 week every summer, and this year was no different. But do you know, she spent 2 weeks packing, and then she spent the whole day polishing a suitcase.
Neat and tidy, clean and shiny, that's how things should be.
At last, she was ready to leave Two-Pin Cottage, all spick and span and neat and tidy.
Oh, I do hope it doesn't get too dusty while I'm away.
She said as she closed the door behind her. But something worse than getting dusty was going to happen to Two-Pin Cottage. Last week, Mr. Muddle had written to Miss Neat to tell her he was coming to tea. But being Mr. Muddle, he got into a muddle posting the letter. Actually, what happened was that when Mr. Muddle went to post the letter, he had the letter in one hand and a half-eaten cheese sandwich in the other. And you can guess what happened, can't you? That's right, he posted the sandwich. A posted cheese sandwich.
It'll be nice seeing Miss, Neat again.
He chuckled to himself as he walked home.
This sandwich is a bit chewy.
It was the day after Miss Neat left that Mr. Muddle arrived and knocked on the door. No reply.
Goodbye.
He shouted. It should have been,
Hello.
but he isn't called Mr. Muddle for nothing.
Nobody home?
He called. He pushed open the door.
Oh dear.
He thought as he looked around.
Nobody home. Never mind, I'll make myself a cup of tea and wait for Miss Neat.
So he went into the kitchen of Two-Pin Cottage and made himself a cup of tea and waited. And waited. And waited some more.
I think I'll have another cup of tea. Now, where did I put the teapot? Where did I put the tea? Where did I put the milk, the sugar, and the spoon?
By the time he got to drink the tea, it was getting dark and time to go home. 1 week later, a taxi arrived outside Two-Pin Cottage. "Here we are, miss. Home sweet home," said the taxi driver.
Oh, that was a lovely holiday, but I'm gasping for a nice cup of tea. Goodbye, and thank you very much.
She walked up a garden path.
Not too many weeds, thank goodness.
Miss Neat went in through the front door and looked around.
Not too dusty. I think I'll make that nice cup of tea I promised myself before I unpack and tidy up a bit.
But making a cup of tea after a Mr. Muddle visit isn't quite as easy as it sounds. Little Miss Neat eventually found the teapot, not in its proper place,
In the refrigerator.
and she eventually found the milk, not in its proper place,
In the teapot.
and the tea,
The sugar bowl.
and the sugar,
The milk jug.
and a cup,
In the oven.
and a saucer,
And the bread bin.
but could she find the teaspoon?
I can't find a teaspoon.
She could not. The telephone rang, and little Miss Neat picked it up.
Hello, Miss Neat here.
At the other end of the line, Mr. Muddle suddenly realised he was holding the telephone the wrong way round, and he turned it the right way round.
Goodbye.
He said,
Who's that speaking?
It's you.
replied Mr. Muddle. Miss Neat thought for a moment.
Oh, it's Mr. Muddle speaking, isn't it?
Yes.
Replied Mr. Muddle, getting it right for once.
And you paid me a visit while I was on holiday, didn't you?
Yes.
Replied Mr. Muddle, getting it right for twice.
Can I come and see you now that you're back from holiday?
I suppose so. Goodbye.
Hello. Hello.
Said Mr. Muddle, and put the phone down. Little Miss Neat sighed a heavy sigh and sat down in the armchair next to the telephone.
Ouch!
And she found the teaspoons, and the knives, and the forks. And I don't think little Miss Neat will be taking a holiday next year. Do you?
She's blunt.
He's fun. They're late and naughty. Twinkle.
She's troubles.
Sunshine. We're helpful, tiny, neat.
Quite silly.
Happy,
Rubbish.
little Miss Sunshine.
I'm fussy and greedy.
And look on fire.
I'm truly.
It's magic.
I'm neat.
Bossy.
Dream.
Scatterbrain.
And about splendid impossible tea.